So, how are you? We are welcoming today our DMC, Tokyo Way. Here is Nicola, Linda, and Tina. For them, it's really, really good morning because it's 1 a.m. So, bravo and thank you for looking as fresh as you do. And we're going to start promptly. Linda, the screen is all yours.
Okay, perfect. So thank you everyone for your time today to join and learn a little bit about us. So our company is called Tokyo Way, and we're a DMC based in Tokyo, and our whole team is based in Tokyo, but we cover all of Japan, so don't let the name fool you. And today we will be going into a presentation about Japan. We know that right now Japan is a very popular destination since after COVID, and we've heard a lot from different agents about the problems that you've had, working with Japan. And so we're really hoping that by joining Dominique and meeting so many of you, that we can really help make this process a lot easier for you to sell Japan and to find a good partner to work with as well. So just some basic facts since, at the end with the Q&A, we know that some agents have not sold Japan. Other agents are, very familiar with the country. And so we're just going to kind of give you a basic overview of how to sell it. And, afterwards, for more deep questions, you can definitely just reach out to us directly. So just kind of a quick overview, the main four islands, you'll see here is kind of the middle part is where everybody travels to. But what we're really trying to do as our company is really showcase a wider range of what Japan has to offer. So our speciality as a DMC is not just off the beaten path, but actually really showing Japan in a more deep way. So we really are good at kind of behind the scenes, gaining special access for your guests. And so today that is what we're going to try to teach you. Okay. Oops, sorry. Okay. So quick, two high seasons in Japan is the cherry blossoms, and it used to be late March, but now because of climate change, it's getting pushed further and further. So late March though, and early April, actually the whole month of April is when, prices are surging. There's a lot less availability, and in order to really book cherry blossom season, you should be booking at least 6 months, and even further in advance if possible. We can do last minutes because that is a specialty that our team is covering. But if you want your guests to be able to have the best availability, try to avoid these seasons as much as possible. The other high season is the autumn foliage, so currently at the moment. And again, for this, because availability and prices are surging during this time, so booking at least 6 months in advance is your best bet. There are other seasons that we would avoid right now, especially in summer, because again, climate change, it's very, very hot in Japan. And even if you're moving around by private car, your guests might feel very uncomfortable. So that's another season to try to avoid. But again, we will consult with you when you send your requests, and then we will let you know, based on each guest's needs, what is probably the best season for them. Okay, just quick overview. Within Japan, I think most people know all of the top brands, standard brands, Four Seasons, Mandarin, Aman, all of those. But more importantly, there's very great boutique hotels that are in all of the main cities and also outside of the main cities that people don't really know about. And so that's where we're here to actually really showcase a lot more of what Japan has to offer rather than just kind of sticking to, kind of the standards that everybody knows. And that's where we want to show, like, use our expertise to work with you to find hotels that are actually suited for what your clients are looking for. Again, rather than just going for the main standards. So some things that people don't know so much about are temple lodging, for example, for guests who are curious to learn more about not even religion, but just more deep cultural experiences in Japan. They're able to actually stay overnight in a temple. And if they're interested, they can wake up at 5 a.m. and see how the monks live, seeing them actually doing their chants. And if guests are really interested, they can even do the cleaning with them, eat the shojin ryori, the monks' food. So we can really have, a deeper sense of Japan, even just based on the accommodations that they're choosing. We also can offer private villas and unique stays as well, such as tree houses, and we'll show you that a little bit later. So Japan, the train and the transportation system around the country is very convenient. So we will cover all of your domestic travel. We only don't cover international flights. So once you book that, we can cover, from airport drop off to airport pickup. So all of your domestic rail, so Shinkansen, bullet train tickets, domestic flights, any ferries. We can also charter private yachts. So anything that your clients are looking for, please let us know. Okay, so classics that everybody knows about Japan, geisha, sumo, these are probably a lot of the requests that your guests will have. But, there are different varieties of geisha, sumo, and what we can really offer is like behind the scenes. So an example would be geisha with a twist. So rather than just a standard geisha banquet, we can offer um, your guests seeing the geisha actually getting ready. So the geisha would put on their makeup and put on their kimono in front of them, and also be explaining about the significance of this. Of course, this is a very rare experience and something that we don't offer just for everyone because it is also very expensive. But again, for guests who want to know deeper about the Japanese culture, we can definitely provide that. Same thing with sumo as well, of course. Just to let you know, so sumo tickets for the tournaments are getting harder and harder to get. And I know many guests, say sumo, and it's very easy to just promise them a sumo to see the sumo tournament. But just please keep in mind that I would always caution, because promising anything about the sumo tournaments because it is getting harder to get. But we can actually offer, well, of course, we can offer the sumo tournament and also sumo morning practice, but something for even more special. There's the show on Netflix called Sanctuary, and this is where, many people have learned about sumo. We actually have the choreographer of Sanctuary who choreographed all of the sumo. And if your guests were really interested in learning, they could actually get into the ring and do sumo practice with him. And so, this will be, again, a deeper experience that is something completely different than what other people will get when they go to Japan. Other experiences such as tea ceremony. Again, we have many different varieties of tea ceremony that we can send your guests to all over the country. And so it does not have to be concentrated only in Kyoto, which is where, most people assume tea ceremony is. We have a wonderful a very private tea ceremony with a master in Tokyo, and he actually is a retired math teacher. And you're being brought into his house, where he really elevates the feeling of being at home with someone. It's very, very special. And again, we can offer that to your guests so they experience something that's a little bit different than the more commercial sides of tea ceremony. For things like astronomy, many people come to Japan looking for different types of meals. And one thing to keep in mind is, we will help you do your bookings if you like. However, right now we've been having a lot of issues where a lot of guests are trying to go for the high-end restaurants, Michelin starred, the very popular restaurants, and then they end up canceling. And one thing to note about Japan is that even if you pay the cancellation fee, meaning you pay the whole course meal, even if you don't eat, it is very rude to be canceling last minute. And so something to keep in mind that it's not as easy as just saying you're paying for it, so then it's fine to cancel. And so that's something that we just need to work a little bit, with our agents to help them understand and make their guests understand so that we can make the experience a lot more smooth for them. And then also cultural as well. So we know craftsmen from all over the country. And again, depending on what your guests are interested in, then we can introduce the right craftsmen to them. Okay. So again, all of this, we will have the destinations. So there's a lot of text. At the end of the presentation, we will send you our deck, so you will be able to read this directly. But if you have any questions, we just wanted to introduce some spaces of Japan that are not just the Golden Route. Golden Route being Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka, that everybody tries to go to, as well as Hakone. So of course, Tokyo, most guests are flying in and out of Tokyo. One thing to note, it is possible to also fly in Tokyo and then fly out of Kansai, so flying out of Osaka. And that way they don't have to double back because the Tokyo route, basically you're going in a circle, which is very easy to do because of course we have the bullet trains. We also have a lot of domestic flights. So if you are booking the international flight, you can actually, depending on where they're ending up, which city they're ending up in Japan, we can actually book them in that domestic city, flying into Tokyo and then transferring internationally to their flight back home. So then that way they don't lose a lot of time, and on their transfer day they can still, be in a different city, fly out of Tokyo. Some hotels that we recommend, I mean, I'm sure most of you know, but Amman, of course, has very high quality. However, the prices have gone up quite a lot. And so there are a lot of different boutique hotels that are also great. Bulgari, again, also has a good reputation. Hakone is another place, again, on the Golden Triangle. And Hakone being the place where a lot of guests want to experience ryokan, want to experience hot springs. One thing to keep in mind is that Hakone is very, very crowded. Some people have likened it to Disneyland because the setup is very much a route, from different types of transportation that everybody seems to take all at the same time. And so, again, for guests who really want to experience something different, there are so many great places all over Japan for experiencing ryokan, for experiencing a hot spring. So it does not have to be Hakone. And so we would really caution you to actually try to turn your guests away from Hakone so that they don't have to, fight with the crowds and they can actually get the relaxation experience that they're looking for there. But again, some really great ryokans. Everybody always seems to book Gorakadan, but Espacio is, very high end. It's also beautiful villas, and also different ones that are more local, a little bit more traditional. Yamanochaya, the ones at the bottom here. And again, we can tailor the type of hotel, level of hotel as well, based on what your clients are looking for. Okay, so a little bit off the beaten path, but still getting very popular now is Kanazawa. So Kanazawa is more on the inside of Japan. It's kind of hard to see, I don't have a map, but again, very easy to access from Tokyo. And in Kanazawa, it is very famous for crafts. So for people who are looking for also traditional culture, so it's a second Kyoto in a sense. If they want to avoid the crowds of Kyoto, Kanazawa is a great recommend. There's also an amazing onsen town with hot spring. People try to go to Hakone for the hot spring. We recommend is Kaga Onsen, where they're going to have ryokan that really focus much better option than Hakone. Also, fun fact, so in Kanazawa as well, if your guests are looking to try a geisha experience, but their budget is a bit lower, we can definitely send them to Kanazawa to experience that instead of in Kyoto. So again, something that we can play with. Other options are Shirakawago and Takayama. So some people have seen the very famous photos of the thatch roof houses, and Shirakawago is something that we can do as a day trip as well from Kanazawa. So for guests who don't want to move around too much, we can base them there and then just have them drive around, but they don't have to move hotels that much. Okay, Kyoto. So the other main city, outside of Tokyo, everybody wants to go to Kyoto. And Kyoto is very, very special. So I would say that outside of Tokyo, there's not a lot of places where you can experience what Kyoto has because there's so many different temples. And one of the things that we can do is elevate the Kyoto experience where instead of fighting with the crowds, we can give your guests VIP backstage access to some of the most famous temples there, such as Kiyomizu-dera, which is the water temple. So having the VIP experience means that we would actually have a monk who, the monks who work there, some of them speak pretty good English. We would still advise having a guide with them to help translate so that the guests feel like they're understanding completely what is being said. But the monk will actually guide them to the back gardens that are not accessible by the public and also explain what is the significance of the temple. So again, your guests can feel like they're not just touring, but actually, stepping into the lives of the monks there and actually understanding more the significance of what they're seeing. Other places in Kyoto as well, so a lot of different crafts and beautiful old culture is there. So again, there are some, amazing tea ceremony locations there, some ancient temples. Here is really good for anything that's traditional craft. So knife making can be done here, especially if anyone is interested in textiles or fabrics. Kimono culture came from Kyoto. Also, they can learn how to dye the different fabrics made for kimono. So we will, because all of our trips are fully custom made, what we can do is it's much easier for us to first understand a bit more about what your guests are interested in, and then we can showcase what Japan has to offer because really there's so many different avenues that we can take. Oh, and then just one thing to note again is with Kyoto, not only are, inbound guests trying to go to Kyoto, but also domestic guests are going as well. So it is just very, very crowded. And so I think always keeping your guests aware that what they see, for example, this photo, of Arashiyama, the bamboo forest, is not in reality what is available now. So in truth, you're going to see many, many people there. And I think some guests have gone, stayed for 1 minute and left because they realized that it wasn't what they were expecting. And so giving your guests that expectation beforehand, I think will actually really help them to not be disappointed. Okay, another big city, famous as well, Osaka. Now, the thing about Osaka is that there's not still too much to do there. It is, very much a big city. We've had a lot of guests coming from places like New York where they tell us, oh, they could have skipped Osaka because it reminds them a lot of the big city that they live in. Of course, other guests have loved Osaka. So again, it depends on what your guests are interested in. Osaka is mostly a place now that they have a lot of great new five-star hotels opening up. The Waldorf Astoria opened up this year, Patina opened up this year. And so good place to stay, but in terms of activities, it's more, good for shopping. A lot of guests go for food tours because Osaka is considered the kitchen of Japan, so lots of great food. And also Universal Studios as well for kids. But other than that, crafts or different types of experiences, activities, Osaka is not as well known for. They are also really good for vintage shopping. So for guests who want to buy some, if they've seen on Instagram, they want to buy some bags, Osaka is a good place for that as well. Okay, so Nara is a city that is kind of in a triangle with Osaka, Kyoto. And what we usually do with our guests, in order for them to not have to move too many hotels, is base them in Kyoto because there are some great hotels. Although now they can be based in Osaka as well, because again, a lot of the big brands have opened up their branches there. And then they can just do a day trip to Nara. And Nara is famous for the deer. There's a beautiful, temples there as well. But sometimes people feel like after they've seen Kyoto, maybe, they don't want to see more temples. So the deer itself can be interesting, but some guests, see a lot of deer already in their homes, and so it's less interesting. So again, just be cautious. People hear about it and they think it's exciting, but if they, depending on what they're interested in, it might not be a good fit. But Nara also has a lot of good crafts as well. And for people who are interested in sweets, we have a really great teacher who makes Japanese sweets, and we're able to do a workshop and tasting there. So again, taking it into the more cultural side, I think Nara would be more interesting. If they were just there to tour, it can be something that is skipped. And other places that less people know about, like Koyasan. So, if any of your guests are interested in hiking, Koyasan is a very famous area full of lots of temples. Now, for anything that is more hiking related, the accommodations are going to be a little bit more rustic. So, as long as your guests are okay with that and they want to experience something more authentic, we do still have a very good hotel there as well, the Soji Inn. So, again, we're always looking and doing our own research, going to inspect the properties to make sure that even if it's in a more off the beaten path location, that it is still up to our guest standards. And again, this is something that we will consult with you. But for guests, again, who want to experience a deeper part of Japanese culture, we have some great guides in this area who can explain to them the temples they're looking at, the pilgrimage walks that they're doing, so that they're feeling like, again, they're getting a lot more connected to the Japan that they're visiting. And Hiroshima as well, as a destination that many people want to visit. It can be done as a day trip from Kyoto. So instead of going all the way to Hiroshima, I mean, as a day trip, it is a very long day by Shinkansen because you have to take the train both ways. But, something to just, if people really want to check it off their list without having to stay in Hiroshima, that is one option. There is also an island off of Hiroshima. So the picture you're seeing here This is called Itsukushima Jinja. So this shrine is very famous. It's considered one of the top three scenic spots in Japan. And there is low tide, high tide twice a day. And so at some points during the day, you're able to walk all the way to that shrine by foot. And then other times when the water is rising, we can actually arrange a dinner boat where they will bring you, in the evening, this shrine is lit up, so it's very beautiful. And we can have a dinner boat, bring your guests directly under it, and then have dinner in a very secluded spot with that in the background. Also, they can have a taiko show as well on the boat, so they can have a dinner and a show with beautiful scenery. Oh, and also around this area, there is a very famous museum that has opened up. It's called Shimose Museum, and the guests are also able to stay in this museum as well. So just as an option outside of what we're going to go into after. Niseko, so of course, as a famous powder area, so powder being a place where people go skiing or snowboarding. And Niseko is the most famous spot in Japan for that. This is up in Hokkaido, in the most northern island of Japan. Biggest, high season is gonna be January, February. Now with Niseko, if you're booking, please book early, especially for dates that are New Year's or Chinese New Year's. A lot of guests from Asia go to Niseko, and so those dates are usually completely blacked out. So if your guests are looking to do a ski trip, better to book as early as possible in order so that we can get the best availability at the hotels. And also, a lot of the hotels have a 3 night minimum stay. And Naoshima, so another place that is famous because of the art that has been developed. Also, the famous architect Tadao Ando was the one who helped develop the island, and so many people go for the architecture and for the art. Naoshima again is also very, very crowded, and so people hear about it and they really want to go. But we would always want, question what is your guest's intention? Because if it's just specifically for art that they want to go for, there are also many amazing places outside of Naoshima that we can bring them to, different art museums. If they're interested in Yayoi Kusama, there is a city called Matsumoto, and that is her hometown. And actually, they have better art of, better of many more of her works there. And they can enjoy that probably with a lot less crowds than on Naoshima. Now, the thing with Naoshima as well is that there are not many hotels. And so we really like this ryokan there called Roka. But many people try to stay at Benesse, but I think there's again the popularity online and then the reality of it. And the reality of it is that it's very crowded. So for a lot of guests who are looking for a very luxurious experience, it's not going to feel the same when they're fighting against all these other guests as well. Okay, so our specialty, of course, we can cover all of these areas. And again, we've really tried to delve deep, do our research so that we're making sure we're bringing you some of the newest and most special experiences that are available on those golden routes or those areas that many people go to. But at Tokyo Way, we are also very good at trying to give the more authentic and the more special and deeper side of Japan. And so for guests, many times they don't ask for this because they don't know. And so, what we really like to do, how we like to work, is ideally learn first about your guests so that we can recommend these. Again, we don't expect them to know all these options, but without knowing a little bit about your guests, and also just hoping that your guests are a little bit open-minded, so that we can really showcase Japan rather than just having them read things on the internet and decide that that's exactly what they want. Then we can actually create a tour together for them that is suited to them. So Yamagata, this is going to be on the north side of Japan, where not many people go to. But for spirituality and wellness, Yamagata is very well known for these famous Yamabushi. So these are mountain monks, and part of their practice is to hike the mountain every day. And for our guests who, it's not religious. So most of the things that guests experience in temples are not religious focused. It's more about the practice and more about the lifestyle and the understanding more about yourself. And so for guests who just want to learn more and want to connect more deeply, and especially if they want to focus on mental health, wellness that way, doing the hike with them is a very beautiful experience. And for guests who have mobility issues but are still interested in learning about it, we do have private cars that usually sometimes sometimes half of the family will hike up with the monk, and then the other half will get driven up by a private car, and they'll meet up at the front, at the top of the mountain, where they'll also still be able to hear the monk speak, and then also have a meal, and then the guests can get all driven back down. So mobility does not stop them from getting to experience this. And again, in these areas, the places that we recommend are still luxurious, and they're going to be, more Japanese boutique, ryokan style accommodations. Other areas like Toyama. So actually for gastronomy, this area we recommend because it's one of the most famous places for sushi. It's where the Japanese go to eat sushi. This is located right on the Japan Sea, so all of their fish is very fresh, and a lot of their fish comes in and then goes off towards Toyosu. So you're getting it before everybody in Toyosu gets it. Toyosu being the very famous fish market in Tokyo. And so again, some beautiful locations here. And we can tell you more about that if you're interested in learn. And also the arts movement here is very big as well. And then going more down south into Fukuoka and Kyushu, I know some of the agents that we've talked to have said that Fukuoka and Kyushu itself has become more and more popular as more of a less off the beaten track location. Fukuoka is a very big food city, and also the people there are a lot more open and friendly. And so I think sometimes people can feel a little bit of fatigue, when they've been in the city, and so getting them to different locations in the country also kind of gives them a wider perspective of what Japan has to offer. Also in Fukuoka, we have the Ritz-Carlton that has opened up there, and also for more boutique options there, that as well. And what was the hotel that was planning to open in Fukuoka? Oh, just a quick note. Also now Shima, I said that there was only two hotels, but actually the Mandarin is planning to open in 2027 in Takamatsu. So we're gonna have a little bit more options after in 2027. Okay. And then Kagoshima, again, going down more south in Japan, so Kagoshima is known for having some of the fiercest samurai, excuse me, samurai warriors. And we have a really beautiful private villa. If you look onto our website later, we do have a photo where you're able to have lunch or dinner inside of a river. And this is provided by Tenku no Mori, which is a private villa. And usually there's three different lodges, and we usually rent that out for fully for one private family. And then they're able to also have private drum performances there as well. And then also going even further south into Okinawa. So Okinawa is not necessarily a place we always recommend in the city itself, because a lot of the places are resort style, but the resorts are quite old, so they haven't really been refreshed. So if people are looking for, a more relaxation part of the trip, in Miyakojima, which is one of the smaller islands of Okinawa, the Rosewood just opened, and so that is one option. But if people want to also go to Okinawa and learn more about the culture, there are amazing uh, so the culture there is famous for the blue zones, which was featured on the Netflix documentary and show. And part of the blue zone, is focused specifically on this community called Yambaru. And we're able to have your guests, meet actually one of the stars on the show and have a cooking lesson with her, and also meet some of the community members and have them, be able to discuss about what their lifestyle habits are, what they eat, what makes Yambaru a blue zone essentially. And then this area is also famous for shaman culture, and then famously the shaman here are women. Is that correct? Okay, yes. Yeah. Um, and again, we can have the guests go on hikes with them, and having, a translator guide there as well, so that we're making sure the guests are understanding everything that is being said, and that they're able to communicate properly with their hosts. And this property here is called the Treeful Tree House. It is very beautiful, and you get to really, each tree house has a butler, and you really get to feel like you're right in the middle of nature, but also, in a luxurious and comfortable spot above it all. Okay, and then just kind of going a little bit deeper. Recently, I think in the media, some people have been really seeing more about Mie. So Ise Shima is in Mie, and there's been some media about the Ama divers. So these are the divers who go for the pearls. Um, which are also famous in Japan under the brand Mikimoto. But around here, this shrine is one of the most famous shrines. And so we've had guests before who really wanted to see the Shinto dance. And a lot of these dances are based on the festivals. And so those are on specific dates. But we were able to arrange a private dance for them at Ise Jingu Shrine, which is the most important shrine in Shintoism. And so again, even if the guests are interested in something like that and they're not falling within their dates for the actual festival itself, we can still try to find ways to arrange it so that they can experience what they're looking for. Okay. And so here, just again, we really work again based on co-creation. So we're not good at just doing spots. So when you have a tour for us in mind, I think really we cover the whole tour. So again, from airport drop off, and then to or airport pickup to airport drop off, and we cover the whole of the inside, the whole tour itself. And we really like to know a little bit about what your guests like in order for us to really curate that itinerary for them. If you are only just looking for a list of things that your guest has already asked for, we may not be the best fit for that because, again, we do have a minimum spend of 25,000 USD as well, and so sometimes you can get that for much cheaper somewhere else. But when your guests are really curious about Japan and they really want to get a more wide perspective of the country, I think we would definitely be, someone that you should contact. And again, we have contacts all throughout the country, and we can tailor it based on the guest budget as well. So just some of the examples here, what I mentioned earlier. In that private villa, you can have a private taiko show, which is the first image you see here. And actually, this show is extremely special because in Kyushu, they do taiko wearing these masks, and that is not found anywhere else. And your guest will have, a private showing of that. In the middle, what you see, he is a samurai, and he is also a musician. And again, this will be a private show just for your guests. And Bunraku, in the corner, this is a famous puppet show. Some people think that it's for kids, but it's actually a deep part of Japanese culture. And again, something different than what you may have heard of, such as kabuki. This will be something that not a lot of people would know about. Very famous in Osaka, so I guess Osaka does have something. Well, again, we really focus on it's very helpful for us when we get themes of what your guests are interested in because then we can really showcase these different themes from different parts of the country. So spirituality, as I mentioned earlier, going to meet the Yamabushi monks. Also, for guests who are vegan or vegetarian, the temple food is fully vegan. And so usually that is always a safe bet for them to be able to eat. And again, for the modern parts of Japan, we have some amazing guides who are architects. We can do fully architecture tours so that, if your guests have a specific architect in mind or a specific design style, we can have an architect bring them around the city and show them the different buildings, also with art as well. We have guides who can take them into the different museums and then explain, all the different artwork that they're looking at. And also we have different shopping guides or yeah, different designers as well. So again, whether they're looking for modern art or contemporary, or more traditional Japanese style art, yeah, whatever they want, we can definitely arrange it for them. And again, shopping guides as well. We can arrange private shopping guides in Tokyo, in other big cities as well, having them meet with local Japanese designers, taking them around to high end as well as more local brands. It's depending on what they want. And then wellness as well. Again, with the Blue Zone. So cooking classes is something quite popular in terms of, how people want to treat health, but also just different types of, wellness, great spas as well. So Japan, of course, is known for hot springs. And a lot of these hot springs can offer really great massages. A lot of the ryokans that we can recommend have great spa services as well. And of course, all the hotels, the five-star hotels all have great spas as well. And And then just some quick planning tips. These might seem obvious, but just to reiterate, because they are important. So Japan is not really a country that you can plan on a whim. However, with that being said, our team does recognize that there is a need in the market for last minute trips. And, we've heard from so many different agents that they got turned away because it was not enough time, not enough lead time. And we think that actually, we've been doing this so we've been in business for 12, almost 12 years now. And we've gotten really good at actually putting together last minute trips, which we've been doing because some of our, agents that we work with a lot ask for a favor, and we realize that actually we can do this. So if you do have a last minute trip, still feel free to send it to us, and we will let what is the availability and how realistic is it. If it is going to be a last minute trip, there's going to be a lot less flexibility because we have to book things fast and we have to make sure, that if we're checking availability, we need to be able to book it. And so, there has to be some flexibility on your guest side as well. But just because it's a last minute trip, it does not mean that we won't take it. And actually, Tina here is one of our members that were going to be setting up her own department so that she's going to be handling the last minute trip for you. So that's also why we wanted her on the call today. But yeah, so don't shy away. It just keep in mind though, if it is last minute and depending on the season, the cost will be much higher than a regular trip because again, we have to do things very quickly. But otherwise, at least 6 months in advance is best. 3 months is also okay. We still have, tours requests coming in for March of next year, which is a little late, because a lot of the hotels have already sold out of their best rooms. But again, if there's some flexibility there, we can still make a great trip for them. Sticking to the plan is actually a very key point in making sure that the trip in Japan goes well, for your guests and that they don't feel frustrated at the end of their trip because Japan is not flexible. So the way that Japanese hospitality works is, the way that I try to think about it is, if, for example, if you're booking a dinner, right, it's not maybe the same where you pay the money, so then it doesn't matter whether you come or not. Think about it as you make a booking and then the chef or the restaurateur or they have been now meticulously planning their menu. They have been really looking forward to inviting your guests. They have been working all day, and they collect all the ingredients there and they're very excited. And, imagine someone cooking a great meal for you and then you don't show up. And that is creating its disappointment. It also creates a really bad business model for them because a lot of these, especially high-end restaurants and more local restaurants, are very small venues. And so they have limited number of seats. And so when a guest doesn't show up, if let's say we have a tabletop of four that doesn't show up, and then now it looks like there's a huge empty hole, in the restaurant, and other patrons are going to look at that and think, oh, maybe this restaurant isn't as popular. Or other patrons might have said, they tried to book and they weren't able to book, and yet they go to the restaurant and there's empty seats, they're going to feel lied to. And so that has actually created a lot of issues for business owners. And so that's why it's not that they don't want to be flexible. I think there's just a different mindset. And again, this is where we come in because we're here to help educate you, to help educate your guests so that we make sure, everybody is kind of on the same page, the expectations are there, and then that way they can have the best trip possible. Most of our team, actually, I would say all of our team are quite international. So the management team, myself, I'm Canadian, and Nicholas is half French, half Japanese. Tina is Chinese. Carl, the company owner, is originally from Boston, but he's been living in Japan for over 30 years with his family. And all of our Japanese staff members have lived abroad. So they all have international experience. And so we really are trying to be the bridge where we understand where you're coming from, what your needs are, and also what your guests' needs are, and also what Japan has to offer and what Japan's needs are. And so we really try to make it, bringing our expertise to you so that we can make the trip for your guests as seamless as possible. And finally, think outside the box. Again, I highlighted at the beginning that there is a golden route, which means everybody is concentrated in these three main cities, Tokyo, Kyoto, Hakone, Osaka. And outside of that, the whole of Japan awaits. And so I think it is quite a waste that we only focus on these cities, and a lot of times the guests don't even get to know, what else is available out there. So if you do have some guests who have a little bit of curiosity, are open-minded, are just also interested in having a trip tailored to the way they want to travel rather than going to where everybody is always going to, those are the kinds of uh, requests that really inspire us. So please feel free to send those to us. Okay. And then again, these are just some do's and don'ts, more important for when you have a guest and if they have any questions. And again, we'll send you this so that you'll have this to answer your guests if they have these questions for you. And then also sometimes we get requests for books, or movies that they can watch beforehand. And so we're just sending these for you just to kind of give your guests some ideas and get them excited to come to Japan. Okay. That's it. Oh, Dominique, I think you're on mute.
Ah, okay. Arigato, Linda. Thank you for this brilliant presentation.
No.
And I know there is many comments, and I think everybody is actually agreeing with me. Let me look at all. So we're going back to Loan, good morning. I had Tanya, I already mentioned it. Mariana say hello from Argentina. Linda, good morning from Mexico City. Laura, good morning from Brooklyn. Linda, good morning from Odell, Travel Mexico. Maria, good morning as well. Alan as well. Urishi, do you have also access to the seven-star train in Japan?
Yes. The booking, it depends on which season you're booking, but yes, we can book it for them.
Mhm. Linda is asking, are you still taking spring trips? What is the average price per person per day for 5 and 4 star? How do you deliver proposal and final itinerary? Axus?
I'm going to let Nicholas answer these questions now.
All right.
So we do the itinerary on Travelify. We don't use Access, and we don't offer breakdown. We can bucket it up. We can make it by buckets, but we don't do full breakdown, complete itemization. What was the other question?
What is the average price per person per day for a 5 star and 4 star?
That really depends on which type of hotel you select. You can take if you sleep at the Aman or at the edition Toranomon. These are both 5 star hotels, but the price would be completely different. So, as Linda said, we have a minimum spent at 25,000 USD. We're a bit flexible. We accept sometimes a bit less than that, but that's really
Mhm,
that's really what the minimum we would do.
mhm,
Yeah, I think you can think about it as usually around 1,000 USD per person per day, if they want to stay at the 5 star level. But I think we've had some guests who said they wanted to spend $1,000 USD a night on a hotel. But actually, if they really wanted to stay at the top hotels, they wouldn't really be able to have other services on top of that. So, if you're thinking about $1,000 a day, and the hotel cost takes all of that, then you're actually not going to have anything left for the rest of the trip.
mhm. Thank you. Linda is also asking, are you still taking spring trip? But I think you said yes, with less availability. Huh?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Charlotte said, appreciating that quality guide are limited in Japan. I understand numbers have dropped from in excess of 2,000 pre-COVID to less than 1,000 now. How do you manage the quality of your guide? Also, how do you have quality guides still available for late March 26?
For the guide, we meet all our guides individually and we interview them. We vet them all our guides are vetted, and we only use people we trust. So on the quality of guides, I think we are doing quite well. Right now, I haven't checked the availability of the guides for next spring, so I honestly can't tell. But yeah, we work mainly with usually the same pool of guides that we know and trust. So on this, we're quite confident we're able to deliver a very good service.
Yeah. And of course, you will never accept a trip in March if you didn't have the right guide. So then I trust you.
Of course, yes, yeah.
I would just say that right now, we have fluent English speaking guides. For any other language, we're still working on making sure we have those guides all over the country. But also because right now we don't speak Portuguese or Spanish, so sometimes we have guides that say they're Spanish speakers, but we don't have a way yet to qualify their Spanish. So English fluent, no problem. Any other languages, talk to us.
All right. Linda
That
is
that might change. That might change quickly, though.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yes, we are hiring right now someone into the team who can speak more languages.
perfect. Linda is asking, do you do ski trips?
Yes.
Voilà. Suzanne wants to know if you're going to be at LTM. Yes,
Linda and myself will be, yes.
perfect.
Yeah, come say hi to come say hi.
Rebecca, do want to know if you quote in US dollar or in Japanese yen?
Japanese yen.
Lohan, Linda points out many good clarity points, so guests will not be disappointed. Thank you. Kiran said, what is the average price point for 2 weeks trip to Japan?
Again, depends, but there could
25,000,
be a 35,000 US,
yeah.
yeah,
You,
USD.
yeah, you said
Easily.
1,000 per person per day, minimum, basically.
Minimum, yeah.
Linda,
Very minimum.
can you do only land device without hotels and services?
So ideally, no. Ideally, we'd like to book the hotels as much as possible, but again, we are flexible.
She also want to know, are you compared to other DMC like real Japan in terms of prices? How would you rate yourself?
Higher.
Okay, not an easy
Higher,
question.
yeah. We're higher.
Maybe
We
I
also,
shouldn't answer this one.
well, I mean, yeah, I think the simple answer is we're higher. Again, we try to bring the guests into deeper access. And again, I understand some guests don't need that. And so, if it's just a more basic trip, then, and if you're looking for a lower cost, I think Real Japan would be a better choice for that tour. That's why we also want to make sure that each tour that comes to us is the right fit so that, we're providing the trip your guest wants. And if your guests want something else, then there are other
Other
DMCs.
DSCs.
Yes.
Perfect. How long does it take for you to elaborate a proposal?
Well, it
Depends.
depends on how much the level of service, but usually we can turn this over within a week. Yeah, a week, 10 days.
Yeah.
Caroline, want to know, can you please send a recording of this webinar? Yes, we will. Linda, she said, yes, please. Giovanna, great presentation. I just booked a few trips for Japan and I had no idea about this off the beaten path experience, which is nice to know. Linda, the minimum of 25 US dollar, 25,000 US dollar per person or per itinerary.
For
So,
itinerary.
per itinerary.
This
Giovanna,
very
what is, voilà, you said the turnaround time for the first draft itinerary, you said 1 week to 10 days.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Sometimes shorter than that, sometimes a bit longer, really depends.
If it's a
And
bit more
how,
complicated,
voilà.
we need to double check availability. So then and especially, well, so also just quick note, we like to make the itinerary and then at least get one edit from the guest so that we make sure we're on the right page. Sometimes the agent wants to have the itinerary and the cost at the same time, and the cost will take a little bit longer because we customize.
And Giovanna also wants to know how quickly do you respond for changes?
Depends on how.
This is usually a bit faster than, obviously, this is faster than just turning over the first proposal. So 2-3 days, I would say.
Yvonne
Maybe
would like to
shorter.
share she would like the presentation. It's fabulous. I would like to revisit it. I stepped away for a few minutes and I would like to listen it to do it again. So yes, Yvonne, you will have the recording and the presentation. Same for Jennifer. You will get the recording. Urshi, thank you very much. That was so helpful. Giovanna, I need to go. I have another call. And will you respond to the chat question? Yes, I am, and it's recorded. Linda, can you do only land service, no hotel? I think you prefer to do the hotel, but you said you could do some exception. Beth said, thank you so much for explaining Japanese hospitality social norms and culture. As an advisor who grew up in Hawaii with a strong Japanese influence from my parents and grandparents, I think these components are so essential to understand for a good trip to Japan. Thank you, Beth. Suzanne, very interesting, thorough, and professional. Thank you for endorsing this DMC to us, Dominique. Thank you, Suzanne. Yvonne, do you have Spanish-speaking guide, but you said it's all on the way? Huh?
We have Spanish
So
speaking.
we have Spanish-speaking guides. I mean, if we need to find one, we can find
Okay.
them very easily.
Mhm.
The only problem is because we don't really speak Spanish. We can't properly vet them. We can't check the language skills and everything. Um, so we're looking to hire someone who would speak Spanish and who can actually discuss with the guide and evaluate the language skills and everything else.
Mhm. If you want them to call me, I speak Spanish fluently. So Richard said, very impressive presentation. Thank you, Nicola, Linda, Tina, and Dominique. Giovanna, thank you, Dominique. Yvonne, yes, amazing presentation. Thank you. Great presentation. Thank you. Excellent presentation. Thank you. Thank you, Dominique, for introducing us to Linda, Tina, and Nicolas. One of the most inspiring and well done presentation I have experienced in a long time. Look forward to planning together. Thank you, Linda. Debbie said, thank you for this informative presentation. I'm working with Linda now for a trip in March, and she's very attentive to my requests. Thank you, Dominique, as well. Amazing, Linda, another Linda, amazing Linda, thank you. Tanya said that was excellent. Jennifer, this is so wonderful and helpful. Thank you. Do you offer breakdown? But you said breakdown in terms of maybe the hotels only, huh? Or the service only. That's what you do, Nicola.
Yes, yeah.
And you're open to booking tour and logistic and not the hotel. Open exception, yes. Another Linda. Wow, sounds great. Thank you. Kelly, what other city do you recommend in combination with Kyoto and Tokyo?
So many cities we could recommend, but
Not
yeah,
maybe now. You will.
so many we could recommend. Yeah,
Yeah.
Maybe
All
just
right.
also.
it's not necessary. It's not necessary cities. It's some like it's not villages either, but there's like off the beaten track which are
Mhm. Yeah.
just more nature countryside oriented, which are very
Mhm.
interesting and fulfilling as well. And we could recommend this as a in a combination with Tokyo and Kyoto as well.
I mean, just
This,
quickly. So, for example, going from, if you were to go from Kyoto and then going down to Naoshima, there's a stop where you can stop at a place called Okayama, and it's very famous for Japanese denim. And so, for people who are really interested in fashion, Japanese denim is very popular. And that's a place where you can also get your own custom-made jeans. And, again, something that they have a whole town of denim where they have ice cream denim flavored and food. It's very quirky, but it's, yeah, something to experience, that because if we know that someone has an interest like that, then we can recommend that.
thank you. I think, Heather, you had also a question. Can clients take advantage of complimentary domestic travel on JAL if they book their international flight with them?
That's an excellent question. We're not licensed to offer international flights,
Mhm.
so that's not
So you
something we're
don't
paying.
know if you can have
Yeah, we're not paying
domestic travel.
attention to
Yeah.
that. So
Uh-huh.
they'll have to check on the JAL website.
Mhm. Darlene, will you share the slides? Yes, we will. Can you help with theme park tickets? Huh?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Beth, what will a trip to the not as popular town location have a lower price point than sticking to the major city and destination?
So
Not necessarily.
possibly yes. Usually mainly because the hotels are a bit cheaper.
Yeah.
But you should also know that if you go outside the main cities, the public transportation system between the cities is good, but outside of this you need private car,
Mhm.
and so it's a bit cheaper, but not
Not so much. Huh?
not
Voilà.
yeah, not so much, yeah.
Mhm. Thank you. So, Christina, you said great presentation. Selina Arigato from Austin. Debbie, I from Sarasota. Kiran, great insight and very helpful. I'm looking forward to working with Tokyo Way. met Carrie at further, met Carl at further east many years ago. Kelly said, "Are you able to do activities and tour only?" We said, you could maybe exceptionally do that. The 25,000 per person or per couple. We said it was for two guests, but depending, it's for the trip.
It's for the trip, yeah.
Well, it's for the itinerary. So, do you take trip with just guide and tour, no hotels? With Celine, we mentioned that that could be exceptionally done. Or what is a tipping culture for Japan for guides? Is it frown open?
So there is no necessary tipping. However, the guides do appreciate it, and we usually suggest around 5,000 yen, so about 50 Canadian dollars per day, if you feel moved to do so. They have no expectation of it, but it's always appreciated. Same thing with your drivers. Again, no expectation, but if you do, they will appreciate it.
Mhm. Laura said, "Thank you for the presentation. It was very informative and educational. I would appreciate the recording and the presentation." Tisha, what's the most unique experience you have arranged for a guest? Oh, you arranged so
Um,
many special experiences. That must be hard, huh?
yeah,
The most unique.
so
Hoshoryu?
a few months ago, we had a family who traveled 2 years in a row with us. And the first year they've done the classics like geisha and everything. And the second year they wanted to do something more about the three children's interest. The three children are into wrestling and anime manga. So we organized a dinner with Yokozuna, between the family and the Yokozuna, which is a current sumo champion. And
Ah,
also we organized a dinner between the family and the children's favorite manga artist.
oh la la. So Barbara, excellent presentation. Celine said that was very good. Uh, Urshi, what did you mention were the three cities for Japan Golden Triangle?
It's
Um,
Tokyo, Hakone, Kyoto, Osaka.
Mhm. Jennifer, what about contemporary ceramic artists using old techniques but making modern design? Do you have access?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can recommend a few places, definitely.
Mhm. Shannon would like to know if you can help with Pokemon Cafe tickets.
We're not going to answer this question on the chat here. Please send us an
No, all
email.
right. It's okay. Separate email, Shannon. Charis, thank you. Or she, are you B2B or also B2C?
yes.
We
Both.
actually also B2C.
Okay.
We're
And
mainly
Celine,
B2B, but we also
yes.
do some B2C.
Do you help with Ghibli museum access?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, perfect.
Yeah,
So I
right.
think we are done with all the questions. Thank you, everybody, for your interest. I can tell you, and I could forward you some of the feedback I received by email, which are so wow that I have actually asked the advisor the permission to forward their email to some of you if you want to, because what I have read would not make me hesitate 1 second to work with this wonderful team. So, and Tina, I know your department of last minute is going to please many, many people. So thank you again for being that good and make us so proud of you. So thank you. So I want to
Thank you very
wish you,
much.
Mhm.
I hope you're going to go to bed now. It's almost
Yes.
2 a.m. for you. So thank you
Mhm.
again for your time and this precious webinar that I think will remain forever. Huh? And thank you again, everyone, for joining us from all over, even from Paris. And I wish everybody a good day and a good evening then, huh? A good night, I should say. All right. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye.
Have a good
Bye.
Thank
day.
you.
Bye.